Okay, great. Well, I'm just going to jump into it then.
Sure.
Kelly Ann, thank you so much for doing this with us, being here. Can you give us just a little background about yourself personally and how you got into the world of interpreting in general?
Sure. I get this question asked a lot, and I had a friend who was deaf in elementary school, and I saw the interpreter at one point, and it's kind of a blur when it was exactly, but I just remember seeing the interpreter and going, "Wow, that's such a really cool thing. I wish I knew that." So I had learned some sign language, really basic signs, just to try to communicate with this friend. And it actually kind of helped more because when I was working at the Greek Peak, which is a ski place here in Cortland, there was a deaf father and deaf daughter that came in, and I was finger spelling. I can help you
Hmm.
kind of get all of their equipment, get everything. So I said, all right, I want to learn more. So I then kind of did some snooping. And of course, this is right around, I don't know, 19, no, 2000 something. So
Hmm.
it was, kind of just learning technology. And so I found a class, a basic ASL class, and then that same teacher also taught at the college here and said, hey, well, you can audit this class. So in high school, I said, oh yeah, of course I will. So then I learned some of that sign and then went off to Cuca and learned some, of course, 4 years of sign after that. And then thanks to Empire with the
Hmm.
first internship and then the last internship, I really got to know more about interpreting and just sign language in general. And it was awesome. And I've been really loving it ever since. So,
And you also mentioned doing an internship at Empire. I'd honestly forgotten about that because it was so long ago. What do you remember about that? What were you doing during that time?
um, I remember the first couple weeks I was in a college course observing a team, and I just kind of went, "Wow, that's what interpreting is." It's really, whew, it was a little intimidating, but it was I don't know, just the experience in itself is just getting to learn just the purpose of what an interpreter is and what how you can work with not only deaf but just hearing consumers as well. And the team that I worked and observed with for a couple of weeks was they were just awesome to work with, and I just recently teamed with one of them. And so it's pretty cool to work with someone who I kind of sort of look up to.
Sure.
And but from that was just the basic, and that was kind of the introduction of what I got as an interpreter. And it really just said, yep, that's what I want to do. I want to continue my major. I want to continue growing and learning. And then the last one was my senior internship, and that was being put right into the job, and it was the experience, and it was. I mean, there's still a couple jobs that I'm like, yep, I'm so glad that I've done this. I'm so glad that I've worked here, and being with Empire for I think it's now been 15 years.
Hmm.
I'm like, wow, it's still just everything about this is just amazing. So
You don't have to give us the names, but I thought it might be a nice shout out because you spoke so glowingly of them. Do you remember who the team was that you originally saw that time?
yep, it was names. I mean, it was Ginger and Tracy.
Oh, Ginger. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, two very,
And
very good
that was
interpreters. Yeah.
the first team that I ever observed while doing my internship. And then I just recently got to work with one of them, and it was awesome. So
Okay.
yeah.
You mentioned earlier that you worked at Greek Peak, which for anybody watching is a ski slope in upstate New York. I didn't realize, first of all, of all the years having talked to you, it makes sense that this may not have come up, but you have worked there on and off for almost as long as you've worked with Empire. Maybe longer. I'm not sure. I couldn't
Not
tell.
quite. I mean, that was my first paid job at the age of 14.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, so I had been working there for the seasons on and off, and then through college. And I think it was probably a good 10 or 12 years that I worked about there. So
So
yeah, that was.
are you an accomplished skier and or snowboarder and we just don't know about this?
I've been skiing since I was five.
Okay.
I'm a little terrified of heights, so going down those really steep mountains, I kind of tend to avoid. So I'm kind of a blue diamond or blue square and a green circle, which are kind of the easier ones.
Mhm.
um, but definitely enjoy skiing and I miss it so much. And then snowboarding, I try it. I fall on my butt every single time, but
Okay.
it's still awesome. So yeah, and I recently just talked to another teamer and she's like, "How did I not know that you enjoy skiing?" I said, "It just doesn't come up often enough." So
Yeah. Yeah.
we might have to plan a trip next year to go ski.
So that's a continued part of your life. You think that you'll continue to be, you're just a
Oh,
skier.
absolutely. I've been trying to teach my cousin's kids, my nephew. Hopefully I'll be able to teach my nieces and I absolutely just love it. My dad's an avid skier, and my whole family pretty much skis. So we've all kind of worked up at Greek Peak, at some point in another time, and we all still love to ski. So it's still going to be a part of me.
So there's a not insignificant percentage of interpreters who will not take assignments that are on stage or any sort of whether it's theater or concerts, things like that. They're just not comfortable with it. You, on the other hand, have pretty much always been game for things like that. So I'm curious if you could describe what it's like to be on stage for a performance like that, and what is it that you, at the very least, don't dislike about that others might, or what is it that you enjoy about those type of performances? Because it's a lot of prep work. It's working
Mhm.
with a team, which can be complicated. So, and of course, it's in front of a bunch of people. So there's the potential for some tension there. But it's something you seem to enjoy. So I'm wondering if you could tell us about that.
I don't really know how I got into theater, but I kind of liked it. I I think it was seventh grade or eighth grade. I tried out for Winnie the Pooh, and I got one of the other rabbits. Eeyore was my favorite character, but
Mhm.
um, I don't know. I have always loved theater. I just like to be on the stage. I like to be backstage part of it. I just being involved in all of it is really awesome to me. But since I've got a bit of a stage fright, I tend to enjoy being the interpreter because then I can still be part of it, but I don't necessarily have to be on the stage. And yeah, like you did say, it's a lot of prep work, but there are so many shows. I have a magnet of every show that I've done,
Oh, that's cool.
13 of them. And I don't know, it's just that feeling of being part of something that's so amazing. And every time the actors are always wonderful. The shows are always tremendous. And I really, the music is also part of it. My mom, so she tends to have tickets for the Landmark, the season tickets. And so she has always tended to go on Thursday nights, which is the interpreting night. So it's
Mhm.
kind of nice to have that support, even though she's like, I don't know what you say, but it looks great up there. um, it's kind of nice to even know that there's always just someone in the audience who's going to be there and support. And whether there are deaf members in the audience or not, it's just a thrill to be part of all of those shows that I have done so far. And concerts and music, I absolutely really just love it. It's expressive. It's getting to be just someone that I can just kind of become, and then for a short time enjoy it, and then go back to normal.
Is there a particular show that stands out to you as your favorite to have worked?
Honestly, I've done it twice. It's the Book of Mormon.
I love the Book of Mormon. Yeah, that's
It
great.
was an amazing show. Just, I mean, I've done Wicked was another one. Those were two shows that I have done twice and absolutely love. And anytime any show comes up, I'm like, all right, let's see if it's a good one.
With Book of Mormon, there's a considerable amount of humor there that is I mean it's all, I love it, but it borders, is it hard to keep, I mean, I guess you're not keeping a straight face, of course you're being
Oh no, not at
expressive,
all.
but when there's that kind of humor going on, is it tough to maintain your composure while communicating that kind of that song or what things like that?
It depends. If so, when I start the show and do all the prep work, I kind of understand it, and then I'm like, okay, well, how would this look as an interpretation? And then at that point, when I'm at the show, I'm kind of in the whole concept and mindset of this is like work. And yeah, I mean, it's still funny. And yeah, I crack a smile. But at the same time, because I'm just already in that set of, yep, this is interpreting, it's off the hands, it's whatever it is. It's a little harder to really focus. But then when I'm in the not hot seat, it's a lot easier to just laugh and enjoy the show.
In addition to being an interpreter, you recently went back to get your degree for occupational therapy. And I believe I may have this wrong, with a focus on working with kids. Is that correct?
Well, yep, it was for occupational therapy assistants.
Okay.
I'm now certified thanks to COVID. I kind of had a lot of time to study.
That's great.
But I've been working with children for, I don't know, 20 plus years now, and I've really enjoyed it. But because of COVID, and then I was looking for jobs, and if I wanted to find a job, I would have had to move out of Cortland area, and my family's here. I kind of said, well, if that doesn't pan out, oh well.
Mhm.
So I actually am also working twice a week with someone as an occupational therapy assistant. And it's an older adult, and it's not anything that I had imagined working
Mm.
in occupational therapy, but it's a really, I guess I have changed my mindset now. And I'm like, you know what? I learned it in school. You're not always going to do what you want. You're not always going to be able to do your goals. So I've said, now it's going to open up more opportunities for me in the future. So, but yeah, I mean, working with children has always kind of been my mindset and my goal. But if it doesn't pan out, it doesn't pan out.
Yeah, you roll with it. I'm
Yep.
curious because you were an established interpreter at the time you decided to go back to school for that, to add that to your resume of things to do. Was there a particular thing that drew you to that specific field?
Um, I kind of thought about going back. I got to keep myself busy.
Mhm.
um, and I thought about going back for massage therapy, and then I went, yeah, no, I got to touch people. So I said no. So I had a couple other choices, and occupational therapy was really kind of piqued my interest. But it was more so just and some of the off season when it's a little bit slower, I kind of have
Yeah.
something else to keep me busy, to keep me going. So but I mean, I'm like, I'm not ever going to give up interpreting. I absolutely love it. And people say, well, how do you have so many jobs? And I was like, I don't know. I just kind of enjoy all of it. I get to experience, and it all kind of intertwines with each other. I've got some of the medical that I get to do with interpreting, and then I learn it and I apply it to occupational therapy. And so it's just kind of three. Yeah, I also have another job. So it's the three jobs that really intertwine, and I absolutely am like, yep, they all apply to each other, and they can all be used within each other. So
And specifically now in the world of interpreting, I'm wondering if you think back on it, if there's a particular job that stands out to you as especially fun or exciting. And as a follow-up, why is the correct answer to that when you worked with Eric Andre?
when work with who?
Eric Andre?
Um,
Do
I
you not remember
don't
this? I found this
know.
online and I was like, oh, this is so exciting. And it's nothing. Okay, well, never mind then.
It was, I
He was
think,
he's a comedian that you did a Zoom job for.
um,
So this
it
is
must not have been, it must not have been that terrific.
so the answer is
Um,
so that's not the answer. That was just for me. I got
yeah.
I nerded out when I saw that. I'm like, I can't wait to ask Kelly about this, and just nothing. That's great.
There was a Zoom one that I am thinking about, but it might have been a Zoom drag show that was
Oh,
really neat, but no, and it
well,
might have been
tell me about the Zoom drag show then, because I whiffed on this question.
it was definitely not what I would have expected. It was unfortunately Zoom. It would have been awesome in person. But it was teamed, and then they had some people who were speaking, and then they had some music parts and dancing, and it was the coolest thing. The music was not what I would have expected at all.
Mm.
And it was really, I don't know. I guess again, it has to go back to that like whole theater aspect of it. It was
Mhm.
this whole big show and production, and it was so cool. But I guess just because the people felt comfortable enough and they joked about being themselves and just, and I was like, that's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that was the one song that I totally did not know that became popular now is one of the Lady Gaga songs, and I was like,
Mm.
oh, now I know what the song is.
Mhm.
And yeah, it just the drag show was pretty cool, and again, it's that theater thing that I really just enjoy.
Um, do you think it makes is it a good thing, a good trend that so many more things are going to be going to Zoom or maybe sticking to Zoom that don't have to be, but for financial reasons or logistical reasons, customers are choosing to do so. Do you see any positives or real negatives with that?
Um, well, at first, the positive was we were able to see people's faces without a mask on.
Mm.
That was the nice thing. Um, but honestly, I hate technology, and for me to to sit at a computer and have to not be able to be in person and see people, and even as the interpreter, just hey, can you repeat that, or can you? It's more comfort for me just to be in person and being able to be around people, and being. I feel uh, there's a disconnect when you're on Zoom
Mm.
because with the cameras, it's okay. Well, yep, you're just here. You're just this little box of person, and that's it. There's to me, there's no real. I mean, you could be oddly enough sitting looking professional on the bottom up and not, and you're like, okay, well, I'm comfy cozy in my home and I don't have to
Mhm.
be professional. And for me, it's just still not that. I don't know. It's just not a feeling of enjoyment and personal. I guess I don't know. I like it better in person. I'm not a big Zoom fan at all, and just technology. I'm like, yeah, we can just get rid of it.
Fair enough. Well, next time we do an interview, then we'll do it in person and we'll bring a camera that way. Okay. Um, so the last question I have for you, I want to give you a few categories of environments in which you may have worked between like a college classroom, a hospital shift for an inpatient, or a one-on-one business, let's call it interview or something like that. Which is the most difficult or stressful or just your least favorite for whatever reasons?
The business interview. I
Okay.
um just doing interviews in itself for myself are just intimidating. And
Mm.
then to have to be the language barrier for, or not barrier, but the language person
Mhm.
for other interviews and another person, it's really just intimidating to me. And I'm not one to be like, let's ask a lot of questions. And for me, yeah, business and interview type, no, that's just not my thing. But because then again, it's also the questions that they ask. Well, and then it's also getting to know someone's very personal information that sometimes
Mm.
they just don't want to tell. And yes, I know in a hospital, you're kind of bearing it all, but
Mhm.
it's different when it's an interview and business type situation. Yeah.
Can you tell in real time if somebody is like bombing an interview? Do you ever have that sense of, oh, this isn't going well for them?
Luckily enough, I haven't had to do too many, so
Oh, okay.
no.
Okay, good.
But I'm trying to think if I've ever really um, I don't think I've really ever done too many interview type for a business. So nope.
That's good. And I said I actually do have one last one. Do you think long term that you're going to stick with interpreting for the foreseeable future, at least as a part of your many professions?
Of course, I absolutely love interpreting. I really just can never give it up. It's something that I absolutely love. I enjoy working with some of the teams that I get to work with, and it's still part of me. And I'm like, nope, can't give it up. still going to be there. And hopefully it's a good another 20 plus years. But
Awesome. Well, Kelly, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. It was nice to see you, although not in
right.
person. It was definitely nice to see you. And yeah, thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Well, no problem. And thanks for having me to be part of this awesome whole curriculum. It's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.